So, welcome back to another episode of Out of the Box. I'm G.
And I'm May.
And today we are going to talk about adoption, specifically for us, or if we would ever give up a baby or something, because we are adoptees, and I feel like we're going to come at this topic very differently than people who are looking to adopt in general. So let's dive in. May and I, as you guys know, are transracial adoptees from China. We were adopted in 2003, so we were a little bit older. We weren't exactly infants, we were toddlers at that age. So we had a life prior in China, and a lot of people don't realize that when they adopt their babies or any child between maybe like 2 to like 7 or even past that. Like any kid who has been adopted will come with traumas, will come with their own story and had a previous story before their adoptive families. So we're going to come at this from an adoptee stance. So let's just start off with, have you ever thought about adopting a child, or vice versa? Have you ever thought about, would you give up a child of yours to adoption? What's your take on adoption as of right now?
I have always known I've wanted to adopt a child and bring them into my own family at some point in time.
Yeah.
I think that was very important when it came to finding a partner. They have to agree on that. It's not a small decision. I don't think a lot of people take into consideration exactly how much it takes and how long it takes to adopt and how grueling it can be.
Yeah.
That includes the interviews. It includes just traveling there to see the kids, pick out a kid. Some adoption agencies don't even let you choose your kid.
You get mad.
Yeah, you get matched. You can say who you would prefer, like rather twins, siblings, single kids, their age. But a lot of the time, the adoption agency will choose for you and just match you. Would I ever give up my own child for adoption? I think it would depend on the circumstances, right? If I couldn't afford to have a child and I really wasn't in that life stage just yet, especially if I was younger, like before my 20s or something, I definitely think I would have given it up for adoption just because I know I can't afford a kid. I can't give a child exactly what they need, and instead of neglecting them when they get here, I think adoption is a great choice because you're letting someone else have your baby and raise them and give them the opportunities that they deserve. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about adoption where if they hear a mother think that that's an option, they instantly want to trash the mom. Then that
She never wanted them there. It was her fault she got into the situation, when that might not be the case. But people, like you said, yes, there is a negative connotation to women who give up their children because, one, a mother should never want to give up a child. And that's like in our innate beliefs that, like, in a mother, you know, as a woman, that you would never want to physically give away your child. Like May said, there are some circumstances where the mother in this scenario would not be able to care for the child. And for that instance, that's where adoption would come in and be a positive role in the child's life. Obviously, when you think about adoption, there's a lot of different types. There's domestic, there's transracial, there's transracial is international adoptions, but there's domestic as well. So you can choose within the state or within the city that you live in. That might be more open to an open adoption versus a closed adoption. A closed adoption is when the birth parents don't really get a say or a look into the child's life. So it's very much the adoptive parents only, and the child just grows up knowing them. A open adoption is when the birth parents and the adoptive parents both come together with an agreement that the child will be able to see their birth parents. I want my child to know who their mother is because I grew up never knowing mine.
I was gonna say that once you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was if it was possible for my hypothetical adopted child to know their biological parents, I don't think as an adoptee I would ever be like, no, I don't want them because I never got them.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool for them to at least know who their biological parents are. Obviously, they're going to learn who their mothers are who will raise them and love them and take care of them. But I think it's important for adoptees to know their biological parents if it's possible. I know there's circumstances where, like Jan and I, we don't get to know our biological parents. We didn't get the chance, the opportunity, or the say to not have our biological parents in our lives. I think that was just during that time. No one really considered open and closed adoptions. It was just, how can we get rid of a child as quick as possible and into adoption as quick as possible? And in China, that's where we were raised and born, in Anhui Providence. A lot of kids were just displaced. Community settings, there wasn't really paper trails or anything with the biological parents that were left with the child. Maybe because times have changed, it's more different and it's more common for the biological parent to be in the adoptee's life. I'm unaware of that just because I don't have that. I think it would be a great idea, an opportunity for me as a parent of an adoptee to have them have that relationship with them.
Because you never had that as a child.
Yeah. And also, I think later when they are adulting and learning about themselves, it would be easier for them to comprehend that because unlike us,
Yeah.
we were questioning every single thing when we were
We
running
still
them.
do.
And we still do. And in past episodes, we've mentioned how hard it was. So maybe having my hypothetical adoptees parents in the picture, some would definitely help out with all of that mess growing up.
I think I would, I still don't know, and I don't think I will ever truly know the right answer until I have either my child either being put up for adoption or if I'm trying to adopt. I definitely see more of a positive side to having a birth parent in your life as an adoptee because when you get to those questions and unknowns, you at least will have somebody who might be willing to answer those so you can get closure. But also, you're growing up in an environment that you are very well aware of who your parents are. But you also are aware that they are not biologically yours. And that might be different for us just because, again, we're transracial adoptees. So we have always known we were different.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, you adopt someone from China, they're going to look like you or similar aspects of you. If you don't tell them, I'm not technically your birth mother, then there can be really confusing parts of their lives that when they're growing up. I think for me, I definitely, if it is a possible chance to have a birth mother or even a birth father, it doesn't have to be both, but just someone in their birth family alone that can answer those questions that I necessarily might not have. And it will probably come off better coming from the birth family than me because I will not have the full answers, but also maybe there is a behind the stories part of that question that I will never know. And it will be also really nice, hypothetically, if my child could also have a connection with the other birth family, i.e. grandparents maybe, or cousins, so they do not feel like they are the only one in this world without a family. I put that in quotes because obviously we will love them that they are our children and they are family, but as an adoptee, you know, like the feeling of not having a family or not knowing of.
It's weird as an adoptee to go around living life not knowing if you're the only blood relative.
Yeah, that's what
Of your family. And so maybe if we even had that, knowing at least someone else out there shares the same bloodline, we wouldn't have gone through so many tough times, I guess.
yeah.
Wondering where we came from, how we're going to be, or whatever. Just because you kind of know that there's someone else out there. I have a question for you. If you were in a dire situation, in an extreme case, right, or hardship, would you give up your child? And like, how do you feel about that? Because you are an adoptee yourself.
Yeah.
And would you want it to be open or closed?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I agree. Adoption or giving up my own personal baby will definitely be a case-to-case scenario just because it depends on where I am financially, like you said. where I am mentally. Am I mentally healthy enough to be a good mother? Do I have the support system for my child? Again, financially, will I be able to give my child the life I at least had growing up? Because I would never want to bring a child into this world and give them less than what I've got. And I think that's just in general, like, you want the best for your children. And if I could not provide that financially, I think another family could. So if all those cases happen or aspects happen, I would give up my child, but I would want an open adoption. But I don't think I would put like a clause in it. And I would be like, I would love to meet and get to know this child once it hits a certain age. Or if they ask about me, because I, as an adoptee, don't want to feel like a burden or like pressure on the child to come and find me.
Yeah.
Because they have to start their own life with their parents. And I feel like as an adoptee, but also potentially a birth mother, I could put away my own wants and needs in front of my child.
Yes.
My child would be the priority and where they stand, because I know from that side of an adoptee that it is hard connecting with your parents. So if you had like your birth mom come in right when you were like 2 or 3 and you see them often, I feel like that would be really hard to put into place. Like, okay, like I'm with this parent and mom and dad, but my mom's still over here. So like once that child or my child would get to a certain age, I think, of like mentally, like brain growth, that I would put a clause where it's like, I would love to meet them, but I would be considered more of like a friend of the parents.
Yeah.
And not your birth mother until you were old enough to comprehend what one, adoption was, 2, why I did it so I could tell you it, and then 3, have you also have questions so I can answer them. And that will also give the birth mother, i.e. me, time to comprehend what happened, why I did it, and more so just put both of our mental health in check. I want my child to be the most healthiest, happy baby, whatever, and not as much trauma as I did.
Yeah, I think because we are coming from a adoptee perspective,
Yeah.
we would go about it very differently than what some other mothers are doing, just because they don't understand how much of a toll it can be and how traumatizing it can be. I didn't know this, but going through therapy, it's a chronic PTSD. And it's only chronic because it hits every single thing of your life. You can't run away from it, even though if you try to, because I know there will be kids and grown-ups who will run from the fact that they're adopted because it's just too much to handle.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I've done it too. But I only learned it's chronic PTSD from therapy.
Yet therapy is very expensive and a lot of insurances don't take it. But if you can get yourself into even just like a mommy and me group with fellow adoptees, or just like adoptee like
Organizations.
organization, that's a lot better than nothing, because then at least you're taking your kid to similar children who will feel the same way, who will probably connect a lot faster with the same common adoptee like connection than regular kids, just because they don't feel alone.
Yeah.
And they feel like they can branch out and they won't be judged because their friends are also have the same similar background. If I was a birth mother to a child that I would put up for adoption, these are kind of the things that I would want my adoptive parents to implement in my child's life. Hence why I would want the open adoption, just because I feel like that connection again with the birth family of any sort would be more of a positive thing than a negative. To end this podcast, I just want to say that if you are an adoptee, or if you are looking to adopt a child, whether it's domestic, open adoption, closed adoption, transracial adoption, whatever, to take the time to do your research, to actually get an interview or talk to adoptees if you are looking to adopt. I am more than willing to talk to parents who want to adopt and give them kind of a layout of how I felt growing up, what to expect, because I feel like we'll all go through similar feelings different ways. I also want to preface this very loud and clear that adoption might not be meant for everybody, but to stop negative outlook on birth mothers who do give up their children. There are many times when women just truly want a better life for their children that they cannot give financially. Maybe they're just not mentally healthy at the moment. Maybe let's not judge the birth mothers right off the bat for being a bad mother for giving up their children because you just don't know their story. So listen to birth mothers when they are trying to go through this process. Listen to how they feel and why they're doing this and give them the time of day to just listen.
I think that's why we just don't judge a book by its cover. Consider the mothers a lot because I don't think it's talked about enough. And I do hear a lot of negativity when it comes to birth mothers and adoption.
Yeah, because no one talks about the father.
Yeah, it's always like the mother's fault. Newsflash, it doesn't take one person to get pregnant, it takes two people. So,
It takes two to tango.
yeah. So, I think there needs to be more talk about birth mothers and why they do it and why they came to the conclusion of this is the best thing for my child. And at the end of the day, a mother knows what's best for their child. And let's leave it at that. And we don't have to make her life worse. We don't have to do all of this negativity just because you don't agree with what the mom really.
Not need to make the mother feel more guilty than she already feels about herself.
Yeah, if the mom suffers, baby suffers as well. So, yeah. Adoption overall, in my opinion, is a good thing most of the time.
Be sure if you're looking to adopt that you have those support systems, that you're ready and fully, completely head in mind, heart and soul to this child, because the more dedication you have to this child and their need, and you can kind of see ahead of time,
The better they'll be.
child will be set up better for their triggers, the life that they want, and honestly, the life you want, the bond you want with your child. That's just going to be stronger if you're 100% there. That in the end, I know we kind of derailed and talked more about like what we would want, but also using our knowledge of being adopted. If you guys have any more specific questions, whether it's about adoption, advice for adoptive parents, maybe things that we wish changed when we got adopted, or if we could go back, what would we change? And I feel like adoption is just not talked about enough in the public eye or even on social media.
Yeah.
If we can just keep talking about it, we would love to. So make sure to leave your comments down below and we would be happy to answer them. Keep listening and keep loving. And as always,
Be kind to others and happy yourself. And we'll see you in the next episode.
bye.